Hey, I'm Mark McKillier with liveanabolic.com, and I want to go over a question that I get asked all the time, and that is, Mark, I'm over 50. Can I still get abs? Well, hell yes, you can. Of course you can. I'm 56, and guys, I have terrible ab genetics, I promise. So if I can get abs, I promise you guys can get abs. But there's three things I want you guys to know that it's going to make so much easier in your quest to get those abs. All right, three tips. Now, the last tip is what many of you might think is common sense, but I promise you it's absolutely the most important thing you need to do. So stick around for tip number three. But first, I want to talk about carb cycling and then combining that with intermittent fasting. So those are two different concepts, but I want you to try to combine them together to really boost the performance of those two concepts. Now, let's start off with carb cycling. First of all, carb cycling is not going on a low carb diet, all right? Two different things. So a low carb diet is where you basically avoid all foods that have a lot of carbs in them. Well, guess what? That's almost everything we like to eat. So that's really hard, and even if you can pull it off, it makes you feel really tired and run down and just kind of worn out all the time. And so guess what? How long are you going to stick on a low carb diet? Well, not very long. So that's why I want you to try carb cycling. All right. So carb cycling is where we just go on kind of a low carb diet for little short periods of time, typically a day. All right. And what I want you to do is pick your low carb diet days on the days of the week where you're really resting and recovering and you're not doing a lot of really strenuous exercise, okay? So it's great to be able to match your exercise level with the amount of carbs you're taking in, and it really works great that way. So guys, we're all gonna have rest days, all right? A lot of times it happens on the weekend, that's great. So if your rest and recovery day is, say, Sunday, that is a perfect day to go on a low carb day. Well, that would be your carb cycling day. And I want you to do it at least 2 or 3 times a week, okay? So maybe you do have an exercise day on, say, a Wednesday, but maybe it's kind of an easy day. You're only doing arms, let's say, all right? Well, arms are a small muscle group. You don't need a lot of energy to do arms. So make that another low carb day, okay? So that is carb cycling, okay? Not the same thing as a low carb diet. All right, what's the second thing? Intermittent fasting. All right, completely different concept, although it can get confusing. So intermittent fasting is where you don't necessarily avoid carbs or try to go on a low carb diet for that day, but it is a technique where you don't eat anything for certain lengths of time, typically short periods of time. And by short, I mean either 16 hours or 24 hours. So let me talk about the two different types of intermittent fasting that I think are real straightforward, easy to do, and things that I like to do occasionally when I feel like I've put on a few extra pounds and I'm getting a little fluffy. All right, there's the 16-8 method, okay? And that's where we eat nothing for 16 hours, okay? And then during that 8-hour window is when we eat all your normal foods. So you could have plenty of carbs during that 8-hour window. It wouldn't necessarily be a low carb day. So a lot of people like to structure that where you eat all your normal food from noon till 8 p.m., all right, and then nothing from 8 p.m. all the way till noon the next day. That would be an intermittent fasting technique called a 16/8. Now the other real straightforward, easy way to do this intermittent fasting is called 24/2. And that is basically you eat nothing, all right, no food, no carbs, no protein, no fat for 24 hours, okay? All right, some people think that's harder, some people think it's easier. And the two comes in when I tell you to do it twice a week, okay? So intermittent fasting, 16/8, you can do every day if you want, okay? But 24/2, only do it twice a week. Only avoid food 2 days out of the week and never put them back to back, okay? You need to have at least one refeed day. Typically, I would recommend at least 2 normal eating days in between those 2 24-hour fast periods. And I'm talking about over the course of an entire week. All right, so why do we combine these two techniques, guys? Well, Basically, it's just to supercharge your results, make things happen faster, especially for you guys that are frustrated and you think you're doing everything right, but you're not seeing that fat loss. It's not, dropping off like you would like. And let me give you a story about myself, okay, just to make you feel better. I promise, guys, my body wants to, hold on to fat and water and all kinds of things. And when I was doing a bodybuilding contest a number of years ago, I was going through the same thing, and I was very frustrated because, guys, I was working my ass off, and I was eating unbelievably clean, and I really reduced my caloric intake. Okay, I was working at a caloric deficit day in and day out, and guys, I just kept looking. I'm like, man, what's going on? I'm weighing on the scale. I'm not dropping weight. And this is going on day after day after day. Matter of fact, it went on for about 2 weeks, and I was ready to give up. And then guess what? All of a sudden, I walk into the gym one day, and I'm like, dude, I dropped 2 pounds. How did that happen? All right. So what happens is your body, and everybody's different, guys. Let me tell you, it really is. Your body, when you start to do this carb cycling and intermittent fasting, a lot of times what it'll do, it's smart. And it says, I need to slow my metabolism down, okay? And it can fight you for a little while. But eventually, the body, you're taking in so many fewer calories than you're burning on a daily basis, no matter how much slower it slowed your metabolism down, eventually you win out, okay? And you start shedding those pounds. So what I'm basically getting at, guys, is just because you don't see immediate results in the first few days, or maybe even in the first week or two, don't give up, okay? Because that's almost what I did, and that would have killed me. I wouldn't have ended up doing my bodybuilding contest, and I wouldn't have gotten into the fitness industry, and I wouldn't be talking to you guys right now. So, guys, try combining those 2 techniques. I didn't know about that when I was doing this contest years ago. Otherwise, it would have been much easier for me, and I would have seen results much faster. All right, before we get to tip number 3, which, guys, just as a reminder, I think is the most important thing you need to know about getting abs, especially as we get older. We got to cover tip number 2. And that is, I want you to combine functional cardio with ab exercises. So let me briefly talk about those 2 different techniques. And first of all, ab exercises are pretty straightforward. I'm not going to really go into detail about all the different types of ab exercises that you can do at home. Man, there's there's probably 24 fantastic ab exercises that you can do. And of course, what we want to do is when we're focusing on our abs or our core, which, and when I say core, it's not just the front, it includes your obliques on the side and your lower back. Okay, so this entire belt area here that goes all the way around us, basically from the bottom of my chest to the top of my hip bones, okay, all the way around, I consider that your core. And guys, obviously, you gotta hit a lot of ab exercises, because when you do lose the fat, all right, so if I hadn't been doing any ab exercises, I would have kind of a nice smooth stomach here. You wouldn't see a lot of fat rolls, okay? But you really wouldn't see those kind of rippling muscles, okay? So that's why you're doing the ab exercises. And of course, all this other stuff that we're talking about is about losing the body fat. It's covering up those abs. So if you ever watch a heavyweight boxing fight, guys, all right? These guys are huge. And a lot of times, you will see big, fat, kind of chunky guys in the ring, okay? And they're in great shape, and they can take punches that would just bend me over, knock my breath out, okay? I wouldn't be able to take it. But these heavyweights do tons and tons of ab exercises, because they have to be able to take an incredibly tough punch to their stomach and not get their wind knocked out, or not have it go through their abdominal wall and into their liver and basically they're called a liver shot, because I think your liver is on your right side. So these guys, that's why they like to hit you with a left hook. They want to get you right here, and that'll double you over. So they got to have really, really strong abs, guys. Well, guess what? These guys got an extra 20, 30, 40 pounds of fat on, okay? You can't see it. They look like they've never done any ab exercises in their entire life. But guess what? These guys got incredibly strong cores, okay? But if you can't see it, what good is it? So that's where I want you to combine a functional cardio in with all these ab exercises. So the functional cardio is a great way to ramp up your metabolism, burn a lot of calories, and it's fun to do. You can do it at home. Okay, it doesn't require any special equipment. Basically, maybe some dumbbells. It's about as high tech as it gets, but there's tons of different exercises, guys, that you can do to create this functional cardio system. And the other thing that's great about functional cardio is if you do it hard, okay, and really intense and focus on it, you can create something called an EPOC effect, EPOC, and it's always hard for me to remember that. It's called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. All right, so what the hell does that mean? Basically, it means you have put your body and your metabolism into such a high level of intense state that it takes a long time for your body to kind of ramp down and get back down to its normal metabolic resting rate, which is where I am right now, okay? Because I haven't done anything really strenuous today. Now, the good thing about EPOC, and another way we can think of that is it's called an afterburn effect. That's a much easier term to remember. So what it does is it keeps your metabolism higher for a long time after we finish doing all this functional cardio. And sometimes that could be, just a few hours, which is actually a lot, or it could be a day or two if it was a really strenuous type of cardio workout. So what the hell are functional cardio exercises? Basically, anything that could possibly mimic what a movement that you make in just your everyday life, okay? And so guys, it means when you're sitting at a gym and you're sitting on a machine and you're articulating a handle on a machine in a certain way, that's not a functional, movement, all right? Because the real world doesn't happen that way. The machine forces you to move your arm or your chest in a certain way. So when we work out at home, we don't have to deal with that, okay? So there's no machines that are forcing us to do these movements in a certain way. So basically everything becomes functional, or pretty much everything. So I just off the top of my head created a list of different exercises that I would consider to be functional cardio exercises. So hang with me here, guys. I'm just gonna start ripping them off here. So we got high knees, side lunges, step ups, box jumps, butt kicks, jumping jacks, burpees, renegade rows, jump lunges, plank rotations, skaters. What do we got? Knee strikes. We got prison squats, deep push-ups, mountain climbers, Spider-Man planks, and just on and on and on and on. All right, those are just a few that I wrote down just off of the top of my head. So there's tons of fantastic things we can do at home in the comfort of our own. We don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to get embarrassed, okay? Learn how to really do these exercises great, okay? Get that mind-muscle connection going, guys. And man, functional cardio, do those abs, combine them on the same day. I really like doing that, and you're gonna get some great results. All right, here we are to the most important tip of all. Guys, you're gonna think this is common sense, but it's really the hardest, and that's why it's the most important. And that is consistency, consistency, consistency. You cannot get around this, guys. There is no quick fix to this problem. All right, just so you guys understand that I totally get how hard this is, consistency, it's just as tough for me, I promise. So this is the outlook I have to have, guys. I'm 56 years old. I've been doing this for a while, okay? It hasn't been easy for me. It goes like this, okay? It really does. So I want you all to realize that just because you're feeling low, okay, right now, or for this week maybe, it doesn't mean it's always gonna be that way. You can't give up just when things are tough, okay? And when I mean tough, I mean it's been a bad week at work, you've had to work late, you got a lot of stuff going on at home, family problems, you haven't been able to exercise like you wanted to. Matter of fact, you've been going to some parties and you've screwed up and you've eaten a bunch of bad stuff that you know you shouldn't eat, okay? Maybe you've had way too much to drink. You had 5 glasses of wine when I said you can have 1 or 2, something like that, okay? Don't give up. You can't, guys. How much longer are you gonna live? All right, I'm 56, okay? Mentally, I feel like I'm 26. You know, I I refuse to accept getting old, basically. I'm just gonna fight it, okay? So realistically, if I take care of myself, I could easily live another 30 years, okay? So my question to myself is, do I want to spend the last 20 of those years out of shape and unable to do things that I really like to do? And when I say I like to do, I mean, I like to go to Colorado and go mountain climbing. And I'm talking about with some 20-year-old friends of mine, okay? And do some serious hardcore stuff. I like to get in the boat and go skiing, all right? You know, I like to play golf. And when I play golf, guys, I like to walk 18 holes. That's 8 miles of walking. And I'm here in Texas. I played golf earlier today. The heat index was 113, okay? All right? Now, it kicked my ass, but I want to be in good enough shape as I get older that I can still do these things. Now, I'm not going to be able to run a mile as fast as I could 20 or 30 years ago, but I'm not going to give up. I'm still going out there. I'm still competing against a 27-year-old buddy of mine who's a badass officer in the Marines, okay? And he can kick my ass right now, but still I have something to shoot for. I got to stay consistent in my running because I do want to get my time down in the mile and in the quarter mile. Now, I'm not going out and running 10 miles, okay? I don't advise doing those long, boring cardio. You've heard me say this before. So anyway, guys, consistency, consistency, consistency. And I'm not just talking about your workout programs, okay? Your exercise, that's actually the easiest part of being consistent because how long does your workout take you? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour max, okay? So you can focus during that workout. Okay, boom, you're done. Get on with your life, do whatever you need to do for the rest of the day. It's easy. It's the nutrition. It's doing that intermittent fasting, combining that with carb cycling and sticking with it, even when you're not feeling like it, okay? So guess what? I got another 30 years to do this, and I've been doing it a long time already. So I'm gonna fail sometimes. I'm gonna cheat sometimes. I'm gonna get depressed, you know, with myself or just with life in general. And I'm gonna screw up. I'm gonna get off my workout program. I've literally gone to the gym, guys, driven from my house and gone to the gym, got my bag out, changed clothes into my workout clothes at the gym, walked out into the gym, out of the locker room, and turned around and went home. Didn't work out because I was so exhausted, okay? But that didn't mean I gave up. That means I just couldn't do it that day, all right? So I get it. I promise I'm like you guys. But guess what? That's okay. That's just, you're human. You're just like everybody else. You're just like me. You got to be consistent. And that is why I end all of these videos with, always stick with it and never give up on yourself. That's just another way of saying consistency. So tip number 3 is really the most important, guys. Okay, guys, I always kind of like to wrap things up at the end of the video here and just kind of recap what we were talking about. So, guys, you can get abs after 50. You can build muscle after 50. I promise you can. If I can do it, you can. So, what are the 3 takeaways from today? Combine carb cycling with intermittent fasting. When we do that, we kind of supercharge those things and get even better results than if we just did one or the other. And then I want you to combine functional cardio with your traditional ab exercises. Another great thing you can do at home, kind of supercharges. You know, you can get that epoch effect or the afterburn effect. And then tip number 3, the most important thing, consistency. I know it sounds boring, it sounds common sense, but that is what it's really all about. The people who stick with it day in, day out, week after week, month after month, those are the guys that get the great results, feel fantastic, and eventually you win the race, guys. And as always, if you like this video, be sure and hit that little like button, you know, the little thumbs up guy. Love it when you do that. Post some comments. We all want to hear from you here at Live Anabolic. And then, of course, you guys know some friends of yours that could really use this video, right? They need to hear this kind of stuff. Be sure and share it with them. And then subscribe to the channel. And remember, guys, just like tip number 3, always stick with it and never give up on yourself.